one of the many things that this documentary does well is that it connects the experiences that these young people, primarily young people, have had, and how they use this dance.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the dancers who now have integrated it into their dance don't come from that. It's it's
true.
It's yet another iteration of the old saying. They want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
That's right.
YUNKJunk.
Welcome to the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I am joined as always by my partner.
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And here we are, the first week of September, or as we call it, Doctober, which comes before October.
Doctober.
What is it?
Doc to school. We are going doc to school.
Doctober, which comes before October. And as we begin our journey into documentaries, Lynn is at bat with a documentary from 2005, Rize, covering the culture of crumping and clowns in Los Angeles. But before we get to Rize and see if it is arisen, how are you, Lynn?
I'm doing well as I go doc to school for September, ladies and missionaries.
And doesn't that just roll off the tongue?
It does.
Doc to school.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going doc to school.
Doc to school.
Yes. We went doc to school last year.
Mm-hmm.
You were fine last year.
Oh, was I?
Yes. Now all of a sudden it's Doctober.
Which does roll off the tongue.
But it's not what the month is. It makes you think that it's October, and it's not.
Well, if you call it Doctober before October, you say it all together like a pimp named Slickback or a Tribe Called Quest.
Or you can just go doc to school, which is what we're doing here. Shout out to each and every one of you out there watching us live as we stream from YUNKJunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, to Instagram, to X, to Facebook, and as well to YouTube. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Vincent?
Yes.
We've got a big show tonight.
Big show, lot going on.
So we're going to jump right
It's documentaries.
Yes. Which is why we're going doc to school. And Dylan gave me a thumbs up on it, on doc to school. So that's what it's going to be. And that's what the flyers say. So that's what it's going to be.
But it's kind of Doctober before October because it's like
a month
of documentary.
Okay, when you start making the graphics, you can start naming the months.
October.
All right, you want to start making the graphics, Vincent?
Well, I'll make the graphics.
You want to make the graphics?
I'll make the graphics.
Okay, so you can make the graphics for October. Sound good?
October before. No, because now it's October.
Okay,
see, October is after Doctober.
Okay, so you don't want to make the graphics for October?
No. It's October before October.
So you want to remake the graphics for September?
We're here now.
Okay, all right. Can I move on?
I was moving on.
Let's hear from you. With your emails, or as we like to call them,
Missives from the Missionaries. So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the Missionaries. Folks, we have an email, Vincent, from Michael Sykes.
What's up, Michael?
With the subject line, King of New Jack City. Hello, Len and Vincent. I listened to y'all episode on the 1990 movie King of New York. For years, I've been hearing people compare the two movies. Speaking of King of New York and New Jack City.
Sure.
Me personally, I think New Jack City is way superior. Don't get me wrong. I like King of New York. It's a good movie, but it's not even in the same league with New Jack City. New Jack City has better developing characters and background than King of New York. We know what motives Nino Brown, Detective Scotty Appleton, and hell, even the old man had for each other, and little of their background whereas with Frank White, none. We do this in real time. He's saying that they had more of a background than Frank White in King of New York, which is one of the things that we landed on.
Absolutely.
Which again, we didn't see that coming.
No.
Upon rewatching of the movie.
I think the thing about King of New York is you caught it when it came out. And I'll just speak for me. And then you kind of build it up in your mind.
Exactly.
But how often did you actually circle back and watch it?
Yeah.
So,
and watch it with a little bit more distance, because you may have watched it like the following year or something like that, but you're still kind of like in that younger frame of mind.
And the problem is so many films after that covered the ground more fully.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it's like, ugh.
Yeah. You know what? A film that I think fell. It's not the same thing, because King of New York definitely predates a lot of these things.
Right.
But as far as a movie that when it comes out, it just comes out a bit too late because so many people have cherry picked from the IP, and that was John Carter. Did you ever see the John Carter movie?
I 100% agree with you. And I didn't see it, but everyone who's ever watched it, including you, because I feel like you've told me that before, has said it, and just being familiar with the books.
Yes.
Which
predates everybody.
Which predates everybody. I mean, that's Burroughs, Edgar Burroughs' other big property.
Besides Tarzan. Yeah.
You're 100% right. And I can see that.
And the shame is the movie was a huge bomb as far as in the movie theaters because of how much money they spent on it.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad movie.
I've never heard a bad thing about the film from anyone I respect who actually watched.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad movie. Michael actually continues with a question.
Okay.
Asking, why do we think that people compare the two movies? And I think we kind of covered that. It's mostly just time period.
Right. And so much of the cast.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the second question, if Frank White and Nino Brown were in the same universe and had a war, who would you put your money on and why? Love your fan, Michael.
I would say Nino Brown because he was vicious.
Exactly.
He was way more vicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's sort of like the difference between Marlowe and the Barksdales.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So.
Exactly. All right. We got another email from Michael's email brother, Michael Lockett.
All right.
Len and Vince, y'all done did it again. In a good way.
Oh, good.
I love the Micheaux mission for so many reasons, but chief among these is that you two dig into the crates sometimes and throw on a track that I never heard from an artist I am very familiar with.
Okay.
This week was not one, but two bangers. I thought I had seen all of Jim Brown's films. Au contraire.
Yeah.
There's
Slaughter
that I somehow missed. I really, really like this film. I don't really get the blaxploitation feels from the film, but that's all good. I take umbrage with Len's description of Marlene Clark getting thrown out in the hall as being disrespectful based on the real Jim Brown and his civil rights pro-us work. First and foremost, the scene is set up with Marlene pestering him at the hospital where he finds out his parents were murdered. Then old girl is in his home and he almost kills her. That would make me toss somebody out. Both of you are spot on, however, with this film being more Bond/Bourne Identity than blaxploitation. And the scenes with Don Gordon make me think this opened the door in reverse for buddy cop films. These two played well off each other. On my time travels, y'all dug in the crates and gave me Lift with Kerry Washington.
Yeah.
This movie was wonderful, even with the addition of Sticky Fingers. The director, Damar Davis and Carrie Streeter, deserve more shine and doors open. This is a very nuanced and beautifully done movie. It didn't bash us in the face by dumbing down the interactions and dialogue. This movie is very real and has very precise storytelling.
Love Lift. Love Lift.
Yeah.
And speaking of Kerry Washington, I think you and I talked about it. I don't know if I officially recommended it, but now I'm officially Unprisoned is amazing.
That's the show with Delroy Lindo.
And Kerry, like the second season was actually amazing.
Okay.
So yeah, dig into that.
Where can people find it? Did you give them a plug? It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
All right. Michael Lockett continues. Since we are leaving the 70s of action in August, I took a couple of hours to listen to the Superfly and Trouble Man soundtracks as I worked. It was wonderful.
Good time.
As the joyful noises unto the Lord came to an end, I wondered who Len and Vince would pick from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and present to do a soundtrack for a black movie. Len, please, please, please do not put Jagged Edge in this. All the best, Michael Lockett. Just because you asked, I could see the twin brother duo of Jagged Edge coming together on a soundtrack for a banging. You know what? They could do the soundtrack for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a remake of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which actually Donald Glover has already done. But you know,
and why? What is it about Jagged Edge that you feel like they meld with Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Because I want them to do it for Michael Lockett.
You want them to do it for Michael Lockett?
That's all.
So you just picked a movie out of the sky.
Well, because it's a married couple, and that way they could do Let's Get Married.
Let's Get
Married. They can have DJ Run on there.
Right. We ain't getting no younger. We might as well do this, which is a romantic line that every woman wants to hear from a man.
Yes. Isn't that how you propose to?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I told you I'm working through Martin, and I haven't gotten to this part, obviously, because it's like at the end, but I remember Martin finally proposing to Gina and said, "Fine, you got me. Fine." And she, of course, said, what is that? So it's like, well, I'm tired. I guess we might as well get married. It's like, that's so romantic.
Who would you choose for yours from those decades or current?
Did he say 80s and 90s?
He said 70s, 80s, 90s, 2010, 2000s, 2010s, and current.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So I would choose...
And I'll give a serious.
Oh, my goodness. So what am I doing? I think I'd pick Soul to Soul.
Soul to Soul. Interesting.
Soul to Soul is my group. And I would want them to do the soundtrack for something urban and cool. So like instead of the approach that they use, which obviously was perfect, and just bringing in different artists to represent a vibe, but I feel like Soul to Soul, if they had done the soundtrack to Love Jones,
okay,
would have been really, really cool.
Okay, I would choose, and I don't care what the film is, I would choose Anderson .Paak.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I would love to see him like really flex on a soundtrack, and I would love to see him do a soundtrack, because I think he would do an interesting soundtrack, but I also think he would do an interesting score.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a real good one.
That's why I would choose. All
right.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael,
for that email. Thank you, Michael 1, for that email. We also got an email from Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
Hi, Len and Vince. You both may not receive this email, but if you do, greetings. Well, we did. So there you go. What I am going to say may be a slight appreciation post, but it's well deserved.
Okay.
As I was watching our beloved black sitcoms like Living Single, it made me appreciate one of my favorite tropes amongst black women, the bougie and the luxurious women who do not settle for less. And that one person that comes to mind is Regine Hunter, played by the underappreciated Kim Fields.
An African-American treasure.
Kim Fields, to me, deserves her flowers, and to me, she is not celebrated enough. Regine Hunter is sometimes left out of the conversation when it comes to fashion icons amongst Black women in Black sitcom history. Her style just shows that 90s fashion, in my opinion, doesn't get old. I really want a film that highlights both the quirky, socially awkward Black girl, but also has a bougie mindset. It could be coming of age or a regular comedy, just a girl who is quirky, but wants the greater things in life. Your viewing choices for this month are similar to mine. While you guys are reviewing Black documentaries, I decided to dedicate September to Black movies that take place at school settings like Higher Learning, To Serve with Love, Dear White People, and Lean on Me. I'm still looking forward to this episode. Sending love always. Court.
Very nice. Oh, well, always love Kim Fields. It's funny, I was sideways thinking about her over the weekend. The that Gary Coleman documentary dropped.
Have you watched it?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did watch it. It's not that,
not that great of a documentary.
It's very sad because Gary Coleman's life was very sad.
Right.
But there was nothing in the documentary that, frankly, you couldn't have picked up from a wiki entry. It's just a very sad story. But one of the things that they kind of deal with, which again, I think is not really that, it's not a great revelation, is just the meat grinder that being a child star has always been, but certainly during this period in the 80s, where, there weren't even as many safeguards as you would have now. It's just miraculous if anyone got out of that. And you think about how gracefully Kim Fields,
at least as far as we know,
I'm right. As far transition. Look, Kim Fields is in her 50s. She's still working. She's still beloved. Like. It seems like she's...
And never stopped working.
Never stopped working. As far as I know, never had any type of public...
Like drama.
Crisis or drama.
Right.
Or anything. And it's a testament to Kim Fields. I think it's a testament to...
Her family.
Her mother. Certainly we know Chip Fields.
Right.
And yeah, Kim Fields is an absolute treasure.
Yeah.
Like an absolute treasure.
Yeah. I second that.
Yeah.
Love Kim Fields. All right. One last email.
Okay.
And this is from our good friend George Carmona.
Hey, what's up, George?
Gents and missionaries. Well, let's just call them missionaries.
Yes.
I'm not signaling out.
That's right.
Unless the gents were to us. Right. I think the gents were to us.
Perhaps to us.
And the missionary.
Our pronouns are he and him, so you can call us gents.
So gents is fine. All right. So I stand corrected.
All right.
I begin again.
Okay.
Gents and missionaries. First off, I like Trouble Man.
Okay.
Well, that's been our emails. I'm not going to do them like that.
There are people who like Trouble Man.
There are people that like
Trouble Man has fans. Yeah,
apparently.
Yeah, Trouble Man has fans, so it's not that crazy.
He continues, I understand your pushback about T and his character traits. On watching it, I immediately created my own backstory where he was a disenfranchised CIA/special ops agent who got out of the game and used everything he's learned to carve his own space in this messed up world. With that framing, I was cool with the film.
So, George, you created an entire narrative that has nothing to do with what we see on the screen at all.
None.
And then that helps it work. All right, all right, I'll go along with that. Sure.
And how could we forget that the evil landlord was played by Gordon Jump of WKRP in Cincinnati fame?
Yes, he was.
That's true. I wish I could have found a version with the correct music because that was my biggest what the H. That's the thing. There is a version with the actual soundtrack. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, you got to dig a little bit.
But you will find it. But if you just rent it, or and there are some copies on YouTube that have the because I did the same thing. I watched it, and then like for the first, I was like, something's wrong with this music, and I said, let me go on YouTube, and boom, made the difference. He continues. Now on to Murder, or should I say Homicide, a book I've read but never watched the show.
Oh, okay.
Looking for something to watch on the Bird channel, saw Homicide, and between Vincent's emphatic recommendation and remembering how much I enjoyed the book, I dove in. To use some Legion of Superheroes jargon, this is getting geeky, this show is sprocking amazing. You can see the seeds it planted with shows like Oz, The Wire, and even Brooklyn Nine-Nine with characters, dialogue, storytelling techniques, and the casting of talent. I'm still in season 1 because I slowed down to savor it.
Yeah.
I will be evaluating my list of top 10 shows on completion. The Bird channel owes you some money. Have a great show, George Carmona.
Yeah. I was telling Lynn before we started, we just watched 3 Men in Adina yesterday. And
which is a hollowed episode.
Which again, I cannot emphasize enough, is the 6th episode.
6th episode of the first season.
I couldn't even breathe the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it is a masterclass. So yeah.
It's real interesting. He talks about seeing the breadcrumbs for other series. We've talked about how Homicide, shares in its DNA as far as like even the creators of it, with what it shares with The Wire.
Right.
And you can see not only is it set in Baltimore, but as the seasons go along, because you're still in the first season, George's in the first season, I'm in the 5th season.
Right.
Lynn
is mainlining it.
Well, I work from home.
Yeah.
So it's on. You can see where, I mentioned how you can see like similar actors, but you could definitely see the breadcrumbs because as the show is morphing and trying to find its way, we talked about how it's a low-rated show. There was a lot of network interference with it, and they said, you got to make this like pop a little bit. And there's commentary about how they have to smash in sex in there a little bit.
Yeah.
But also, it starts to the lens becomes widening. And it starts to look more at the politics of policing. It starts looking at the connection between the police and the media.
Right.
It starts to more dig into the drug game.
Yeah.
Especially in like the 4th and 5th season.
Yeah.
You even mentioned one of the characters that'll be coming up in the 5th season who just been introduced as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And you can really start seeing like, cause it's up in the towers. It's talking about drops and everything. You can see that they are really, you're wondering how much of now that source material that fed The Wire, those stories are now feeding into the Baltimore of the Homicide.
Well, Barnfather, who is like one of the high-ranking officials.
He's the highest-ranking police. He's a police chief.
He's in the first episode. So you can tell that they're kind of, and like you said, they're bringing the media in. And the other thing that I'm also picking up, like I feel like the word got out that this is a master stage. So I love that these guest stars show up and they're like, I'm here to play.
Yeah, but I still think a lot of that is more the stunt casting to prop up the ratings. Like, okay, so now I'm in the building, so I'm going to do work. Right. But I think them being there is more the stunt casting.
It's them coming in, yeah.
Well, yeah, but enjoy. And I've decided, because I think we had talked about we were talking to Dylan, trying to talk him into it. Like, maybe you only need to watch like the first five seasons. I'm in the 5th season. But because the show actually wraps up, it's 7 seasons, but then there's a homicide movie.
Yes.
So now I'm feeling like, and I never saw the movie.
Oh.
And I'm not sure. And if I saw the final 2 seasons, I don't remember.
Sure.
So I feel like I gotta.
I'm interested in what you think about the last 2 seasons, because I didn't think they were.
It's probably one of those things that it's not bad. It's just not what it was.
No. It's in square circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad Stevie Wonder album,
but it just ain't.
You're just coming off of 10 years of the greatest albums that have ever been made.
You're coming right out of Hotter Than July.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious to check it out. Actually curious.
It's beats, rhymes, and life.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, you made People's Instinctive Travels and Passive Rhythm. You made Low End Theory. You made Midnight Marauders. All right, we made 3 of the greatest hip-hop albums ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have Beats, Rhymes, and Life. It's just not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, So there you go.
Oh, we've wasted too much time. That you brought to mind a hip-hop question I've always wanted to ask you.
Okay. Is it about the Rapping Duke?
No.
Yaha?
No, it's not about the Rapping Duke. I gotta say it now. You just mentioned about the Tribe Called Quest, the trilogy. What would you say is the greatest rap album by one person? So it's a solo album.
Solo album. Greatest solo album.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I'm going to Illmatic.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. Shit.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm going Nas, Illmatic.
That is a good one. See, off the top of my head, and I'm just going to my favorites. As much as I like Nas, but my favorites. I would have said either the DOC.
Good album.
Or the The Adventures of Slick Rick?
Another good album.
Yeah, I would have said one of those 2. But Nas is a good one. I like Nas. It's just not every track really does it for me.
Oh my God, I think there are no skips on it. I mean, it's only 10 tracks on there.
I know. And there's no skips, but not everyone just really bangs with me. But DOC, DOC actually maybe is one of my favorite albums. I can listen to that from beginning to end.
I think my problem with DOC is that Funky Enough is so much better than everything else that it makes it uneven for me.
Really?
I think that's one of so.
Okay.
But all right.
All right.
That's why we have these conversations.
Yeah, that's why we had these conversations.
Not the Rapping Duke though.
No,
we're not gonna go with the Rapping Duke.
We're not talking about the Rapping Duke, Vincent.
Yaha.
No.
Not gonna go with the Rapping Duke.
You can talk about that in October. After
Doctober.
School.
Oh.
Bang, zoom. All right. That has been our missives from the missionaries. If you would like to have your voice heard, please send us an email at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com. And right now, it's time for us to remind you that on Wednesday, October 23rd, the Micheaux Mission will be rejoining with our good friend Stephanie Watts of the Be Real Black Cinema Club at Bryn Mawr Film Institute for the Be Real Micheaux screening series, number 4. And for the month of October, which is horror, which is thrillers, which is suspense, we are bringing you the movie that gave the world John Boyega. Attack the Block.
Attack the Block.
Screening for one night only on the big screen. Bryn Mawr Film Institute. Go to brynmarfilm.org right now. Tickets are on sale right now. Remember, there's a talkback free podcast after the viewing, remember, come to the film, get free soft pretzels, courtesy of the Micheaux Mission, courtesy of Be Real Black Cinema Club, and sponsored by the League of Historic American Theaters.
Yes.
All right. And now it's time for the top 5.
My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is.
Top 5. All right. So,
Very excited.
now, for those who have been watching, may have been looking at our advertisement for tonight's show, we were scheduled to have our good friend Ariel Johnson on as a guest. She unfortunately could not make it, so we hope to bring her on at a later date.
Rain check.
Most definitely. Ariel's always welcome. But we were definitely excited to have her on the show because we are going to be reviewing Rize from 2005, which is a documentary about a fantastic dance craze or culture in South Central Los Angeles, a crumping. And we wanted her on because not only being a professional geek, she is also a huge historian of dance and dance culture. And I wanted her really for this top 5 because keeping it in theme, I wanted to go through the top 5 dances since 2005.
Since 2005, top 5 dances.
Top 5 dances.
Okay, brand new dancing since 2000. So this is not about the Watusi.
It's not about the Watusi.
Or the mashed potato.
Not the mashed potato.
Or the monkey.
Or the monkey.
Or the electric slide.
Or the electric slide.
Or the Roger Rabbit.
Or the Roger Rabbit. Or the twist. Or the running man.
None of those.
None of those.
The prep.
No, we're not prep. We're not prep.
I'm going to hit the prep.
Is that the last one you know?
I like to prep. I like to prep. Hit that prep. Go ahead.
Do you still break out the prep?
Now look.
Or do you still break out the percolator?
I am from Baltimore.
That's what I'm saying.
It is always time for the percolator.
That's right. That's right. But no, those will not be seen.
Those were pre-2005.
They were pre-2005.
These are post-2005.
Post-2005.
Okay.
All right. The top dances. All right. And
it's not like square dancing.
Then we're not square dancing. We're not river dancing.
Which Henry Ford pushed forward, and he sponsored and he financed it because he was trying to get white women to stop listening to jazz.
Really? I did not know that.
That's a 100% true story. That's why square dancing became a thing, because infamous racist and anti-Semite Henry Ford was concerned about white people and white women in particular listening to jazz.
Well, that's because all the jazz players would get taking on the white.
Well, he was going to be dating Negroes and smoking marijuana cigarettes.
That's right.
So we need to bring forth square dancing.
That's very interesting.
Push square dancing.
Very interesting, because you know where the storyline of a young white girl being quote unquote seduced by a black jazz player
in marijuana cigarettes
took place.
Where?
On Downton Abbey.
See? There was a lot of concern about white women, jazz, Negro men, and marijuana cigarettes.
Yep.
Which is why we all learned square dancing in gym class.
What we all?
You didn't take it when you were like in middle school?
I never learned square dancing. I know of square dancing. I never learned square dancing.
A lot of schools
teach square dancing on you?
That's where it comes from.
That's
Henry
Baltimore
Ford
stuff.
That's not Baltimore at all. That's nationwide.
Nobody in Philadelphia, they did not teach square dancing.
I guarantee you there were schools in Philadelphia that taught square dancing in gym class. I guarantee you this.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
All right.
No.
It was a nationwide thing. Look it up. Henry Ford, square dancing, racism.
No, I believe you in the story, but as far as it happened,
Does Philadelphia have public schools?
Yes.
Is Philadelphia in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Yeah, there were schools in Philadelphia. I would say at least to the early 80s where you could learn square dancing in probably middle school.
But
that's pre-2005.
It's pre-2005.
Right, because certainly there's no racism in Philadelphia. There's absolutely no racism in Philadelphia.
We're living in a post-racial society.
Right. Who could imagine in Philadelphia somebody was doing something that was rooted in racism? That's crazy talk. Not Philadelphia. A city that loves a fictional white athlete more than they do their real black ones.
You do realize that every time you come into the studio and say, hey,
I know.
Let's keep it moving.
Let's keep it lean. Let's keep it lean. Let's keep it lean. I know.
Then here you come from Tangent City.
But you're over there clutching the pearls. Oh, no, not in Philadelphia were they doing it.
I don't remember. I've never heard of that. I went to public school.
Right.
What grade was this?
Probably middle school. It's probably like 5th, 6th grade.
Okay.
5th, 6th grade.
Now, all right. So now I was in the Catholic school, middle school.
Okay.
I don't remember any of my middle school
Catholic
friends.
School too, yeah.
They taught in the Catholic school? Them nuns wasn't square dancing?
It was square dancing. So it was
just ruler popping.
It was pure and innocent. Again, it wasn't jazz with the marijuana cigarettes and the Negro horn players.
Aaron Fry is in the chat saying that he did square dancing in Catholic school.
I know he did because he went to school in America.
And Willett Barnett is saying they definitely learned square dancing in Connecticut in the 60s.
Connecticut also in America.
Okay. No, I just don't believe, neither of them are from Philly.
Sure.
I don't think it crossed the Philly
I don't
border.
call out no Philly areas, but South Philly, the Northeast, somebody was square dancing.
Okay, but I don't believe it was in school.
St. Bartholomew of the Bleeding Wounds up in the Northeast. Somebody was absolutely learning how to square dance.
I don't believe
PS 37 in South Philly, over where the mummers are, they were absolutely learning how to square dance.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'm seeing people chiming in about Chicago, Lisa Alexander, and in New Jersey.
Yes,
okay.
All places in the United States.
Yes.
Because Henry Ford financed
yes
and pushed and sponsored.
You can tell the story as many times as you want. I know the story.
I just like because it's a ridiculous, crazy story. Racism.
It is a crazy story. It just didn't happen in Philly. Oh. I'm sorry that your mayors were not strong enough to keep it out of your cities. Right. But it didn't happen in Philly.
All those, the bastions of civil rights.
Frank Rizzo was not letting that stuff.
Right, Frank Rizzo.
Frank Rizzo wasn't letting that happen.
When you think about progressive
because it wasn't
thought,
Italian.
When you think about progressive thought, we always think about Frank Rizzo.
Because it wasn't Italian.
Sure.
It wasn't Italian, so he wasn't doing square dancing.
Right.
No, he couldn't squeeze no money out of it.
Go ahead.
If he couldn't squeeze a dime out of it, Frank Rizzo wasn't letting it happen.
Go ahead.
No.
All right.
He was like, let the moolies twist.
Easy.
that was Frank. I didn't say it.
Post 2005, though.
Oh, yeah. Post 2005. God, what is it? So these are the top 5 dances since 2005. There's a definitive. I think there's a challenge for 1 and 2, but other than that, they're kind of not in order.
Sure,
and Vincent has generously agreed to demonstrate each dance for us.
Sure. Those of you listening on the podcast, just close your eyes and think about it. Imagine it. And it becomes real.
So, first of all, number 5 from 2008 is the Stanky Leg.
Sure.
You know the song, the dance, the Stanky Leg.
Yeah, sure. I just told you I was listening to Illmatic, right?
You don't know the dance. You
Not
know
a
the
lot.
dance.
Not a lot of crossover of the Illmatic fans and the people listening to Stanky Leg.
Oh, I bet there's. Well, you're right. Anyway,
For sure. Yeah,
Stanky Leg was a song by the GS Boys, released in August 2008. Boys with a Z, of their debut single that they performed at the BET annual fashion show, Rip the Runway. The Stanky Leg is a multi-step dance that involves a circular movement of the dancer's leg with alternation between legs. The dance also contains elements of other dances. Actually, at the 2009 FIFA Confederates Cup, the United States forwards Josie Altidore and Charlie Davies used this dance as their goal celebration, and also during Super Bowl 57, Travis Kelce caught the football, caught a touchdown, and immediately also celebrated with the Stanky Leg.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Gonna Stanky Leg for us?
Probably not.
No?
What's 4?
All right, number 4. This is a dance that I know you have done.
Okay, sure.
Okay. I think you've done.
Sure, go ahead.
And that is the Cupid Shuffle.
You know, I don't line dance.
Jesus, Fitz, what do you do at weddings?
No, I sit and I drink bourbon and look at people, make cutting remarks.
You don't line dance?
I know.
Come on, Vince.
And you know what? It's actually anti-black that I don't. That is actually something.
It is.
Like that's actually
at least line dance.
That's a strike against me. That's real talk.
It is.
Yeah.
Does Wendy line dance?
No. One of our few regrets. This is a true story. We did not have line dancing at our wedding.
Did people talk about you?
They did. I have an aunt that's mad at me right now.
You told the DJ no line dancing.
We 100% said no line dancing. We had the bougiest, most Tyler Perry villainous wedding. And then we said, no, we did no line dancing. And I regret it. That's the truth. I regret it. If I could do it all over again, I would have it. But I don't line
It's not too late to line dance, Vince. At least do the Cupid Shuffle, which was by the rap artist Cupid.
Sure.
From his 2007 album, Time for a Change.
It was Time for a Change. Yeah. It was like an album about social injustice.
No, wait a minute.
It was like a song about prison reform. It was a song about the destabilization in the Middle East. It was a song about racism, and then it was the Cupid Shuffle.
Well, his reasoning for creating the Cupid Shuffle, I named it the Cupid Shuffle because people were stealing local Louisiana songs and concepts and dropping them nationally. So I put my name in it. So if they did it to me, I could sue. Nobody knew what to call it or how to categorize it. It's just a feel-good song. Even today, when that beat drops, people run to the dance floor like it just dropped yesterday. And he's absolutely right.
That's 100% right.
Like that and the Cha-Cha Slide, which predates 2005.
Right. All jokes aside, yes.
You want to get people on the dance floor?
Yeah.
Cupid Shuffle.
Yes.
Everybody except the Williamses.
You get that big ice cube and it melts slowly.
And you just sit there making cutting remarks at people line dancing.
Cutting remarks, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just cutting remarks.
I can't believe Wendy doesn't even get out there and line dance.
Look, cutting remarks. The big ice cube melts slowly.
A shame. That's a damn shame.
What's 3?
Number 3 was inspired by one of your favorite performers. One of your favorite performing rappers. A rapper who many consider the greatest entertainer.
Oh,
that would be the Dougie.
Yeah.
The hip-hop dance generally performed by moving one's body from side to side, pushing a hand through near the hair or the head. The dance actually originated in Dallas, where it took its name from similar moves performed by 1980s rapper Dougie Fresh. Because that used to be his move.
But he did it first in Dallas?
Well, it originated in Dallas.
I thought it originated with him.
Well, I guess it originated with him, but he never called it the Dougie, I don't think.
Sure.
But somebody in Dallas probably put the name to it.
Sure.
You know, seeing him, because that was his move.
That was
Doug's move.
That was his move.
That was his move.
Yeah.
The Dougie gained notoriety because the rapper Lil Will, whose song My Dougie became a local hit. Then a person called C Smooth in Southern California taught the future members of the Cali Swag District how to do the dance. They recorded the song Teach Me How to Dougie and filmed the music video in California. And after that, it was off. The Dougie was performed by, among others, in 2010 and 2011, Chris Brown, Reggie Bush, DeMarcus Cousins. These are all athletes.
Thank you.
Because I knew you were like people I don't know.
I figured there was some type of ball involved.
Wolf Blitzer.
Okay.
Of CNN.
You're going to throw his back out. He need to be easy.
Kate Upton.
Sure.
As well as one Michelle Obama.
Sure.
In 2012, gymnast Gabby Douglas performed the Dougie upon winning the U.S. Olympic trials. And also at the 2012 Summer Olympics, the gymnastics gold and silver medalist Michaela Maroney taught Jenna Hager, the daughter of George W. Bush, how to do the Dougie while the gymnastics teams was touring London. So the Dougie was huge.
Huge.
Do you Dougie?
I don't.
Do you dance at all?
Cutting remarks.
You don't dance at all?
Sure I do. What's number 2?
Oh, that's right. You prep.
I hit a prep. I hit that prep now.
Number two. Which in some universes, no one would argue as number 1 dance.
Sure.
Since 2005. And that is the floss dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know the floss dance. Now I know that Camille
here's my
has
crazy
flossed around the house.
Here's my crazy thing. I feel like MC should MC. All this, we don't do dance instruction and come up with some funny little. I mean, God bless people who like this. But, again, like I didn't throw away my Tribe Called Quest albums.
The floss was invented by...
Invented's a very strong word in this context.
Russell Horning, also known as the Backpack Kid.
Sure.
It actually has been around for quite some while. The Backpack Kid posted a video of himself doing the dance move in August of 2016, and it soon racked up tens of thousands of views. Then in May of 2017, the Backpack Kid stole the show on Saturday Night Live as he did the dance to a live performance of Katy Perry's song Swish Swish. And this is a song, and now I know Dylan knows. Dylan, you flossed, right? Like Dylan is shaking his head. He's flossed up and down.
Sure.
My niece Simone, she flossed.
Are you flossing? Did you floss?
No, I didn't. I
mean, you pointed at everybody else.
I saw it. I did it, but it's not. It's definitely like more of a kid's dance.
Sure.
Like if you were like you do it ironically.
Do you?
Yes. Someone, but no one would go on a dance floor. Like an adult would not go on the dance floor and then start flossing. It's seriously like calling themselves dancing.
Sure.
But the kids, you.
Well, that's what I said. You said, oh, you don't floss. That's for the kids.
But to hear you call it, every song is for every dance.
How much are you Dougieing?
I've Dougie'd.
Really?
Yes.
Your old ass was somewhere Dougieing.
A little bit, yes.
See, you gonna throw your back out too. Sit your ass down.
No. See, now the Dougie is not a song. It's not a dance.
Sit your ass down. Let the kids do their thing. Get you a little drink.
No. The thing about the thing is, first of all, you don't know the dance, so you can't speak to it.
I've seen Dougie Fresh.
Okay, well, if you've seen Dougie Fresh, then you know the dance ain't that intricate.
Right.
It's all of you can be very laid back,
So
smooth, and do the Dougie. Like, yes, can you get loose with it?
Were you
Sure.
stanky legged? Was your leg stanky?
No, I kept my.
Was there stanky?
I washed
in
my
your
leg. No, there was no stank
exactly.
on my leg.
Right.
No, I didn't stanky leg.
So what was number one? What's above the floss? Which in some universes would have been number one, from what I understand.
Oh boy. Number one, Jerusalema. Yes, I believe I'm saying that correctly. I was practicing this all day. Jerusalema.
Mm-hmm.
Jerusalema.
Sure.
Jerusalema.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's it. Jerusalema.
Uh-huh.
It is a bit of a line dance as well.
Okay.
That originated from the Jerusalema song by DJ Master KG and Nambu Nuthle, South African rapper and singer.
Mm-hmm.
It sprang to number one on the Billboard music charts and Apple Music charts. And in the beginning of the song was just another applauded South African house track. But there was a challenge that developed from this song and from the dancing of the song that exploded worldwide. Excuse me, Jerusalema. I mispronounced it.
The Lord knows your heart.
Thank you, Lord. The song came out in 2019. One afternoon, a group of performers in Angola filmed themselves dancing together as they ate lunches, and that took off on the internet, and thus everybody took on this challenge of doing the dance, and it exploded. Now, I did not know the name of this dance.
Okay.
But I knew the dance because it's like a bit of a line dance.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was doing the research and then looked up the dance.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I know this dance. Oh, this was huge. And actually, I went because Ariel could not make it. And I asked her for her top 5 dances.
Mm-hmm.
And this was on her list. This and the Dougie.
So what's the name of it?
The dance?
Yeah.
Jerusalema.
That's the name of the dance.
That's the dance.
Okay.
This is the name of the song as well as the Jerusalema dance.
Okay.
Is the name of the dance. It's a bit of a line dance that you probably have seen performed at these parties that you have been making cutting remarks with your bourbon with.
Right.
Is Wendy joining you in these cutting remarks?
I want to see you do the dance.
If we had the music, I would. But we can't play the music for licensing sake.
Send to your partner. That doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
You know why? Because that's racist.
What? What you were just doing?
Partner, home,
oh.
All right. Well, there you go.
So that's the top 5.
All right.
Dances.
All right.
I actually flirted with my mind of actually doing the dances.
Yes.
But then I realized that it probably wouldn't be a proper camera setup.
Sure. And
then 2, I was like, I got to go home. So, I'm not above embarrassing myself.
Sure.
But there is a threshold.
Yeah, good.
That's the threshold.
Good.
There you go. All right. Somebody's in the chat saying, Dylan, play the track. No, Dylan. Don't play the track.
Don't play the track.
Because y'all don't have to pay for the track.
Right,
folks.
right.
We got to pay for that.
Right. And people watch for this.
People look out.
We've gotten caught out. So.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
YouTube will quickly take down a video.
Yeah.
Y'all want to keep watching the Micheaux mission.
Right.
All right. So there you go. All right. That is the top 5. And now it's time for the Game of Kings.
Game of Kings. The Dance of Dragons.
Or just 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. Keeping in theme, Vincent, we are going to be reviewing the documentary Rize tonight, which is all about the dance craze of crumping.
Yes.
South Central Los Angeles at that time. We're going to be connecting in 6 films or less to that dance sensation all unto himself, D'Urville Martin.
Mm-hmm.
These actors who began their creative careers as dancers.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
So, Vincent, in 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Michelle Yeoh.
She was a dancer?
She was a dancer. She was a dancer in her previous life.
Interesting. So did she go to the royal, like that royal acrobatic school that a lot of the Chinese actors go to? Do you know?
I do not know. I didn't look to that.
Okay.
Extent.
All right. Well, okay. Yeah, so Michelle Yeoh is D'Urville Martin is in, I feel like we've done her before because I'm go the same way. Yeah. D'Urville Martin is in The Final Come Down with Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams is, of course, in The Empire Strikes Back with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom with Huy Hu Kwan. Huy Hu Kwan. I may be pronouncing his name. I apologize. But he is, of course, in Everything, Everyone, Everywhere. Did I get my
you put in one extra.
Everything, Everywhere, Everyone.
Put in
everything, everywhere, all the time. What is it? What is it?
One more try.
Everything, everyone.
No.
Everything, everywhere. Everything, everywhere, all around. What is it?
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
All at once with Michelle Yeoh. She's very good in.
That's an excellent movie.
Like just ridiculously good.
Very good movie.
Yeah.
All right, Vince. Very good.
I did not know she was a dancer. I mean, it makes sense, but okay.
All right, now, Vince, in 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to another actor.
Okay.
Who began her life.
Oh, her life.
As a dancer.
Something you do, Patrick Swayze. All right, go ahead.
Nah, that'd be too easy.
I know.
Elizabeth Moss.
She was a dancer? Oh, that's funny. I was halfway talking about her today.
You always have these halfway partly conversations about people.
Well, Wendy just watched Get Out.
Just for the first time?
For the first time she watched Get Out.
Who went to the movies with you to see it? Camille?
I think you did. I think
we have the screen?
We saw the screen.
And she didn't go?
And we saw the preview, and then we had to skip.
Oh, we didn't must have had a +1.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Because of how like they were
how tight it was.
Button up on that.
Yeah, I saw it with you. Yeah, but of course we were talking. Now I'm trying to convince her to watch Us, which Elizabeth Moss is in with Winston Duke, who is in Avengers Final Crisis.
All at once.
Right. All at once. Right. Exactly. With Samuel Jackson, who, of course, is in Mo Better Blues with Dick Anthony Williams. And Dick Anthony Williams plays the slick young barber in 5 on the Black Hand Side with D'Urville Martin.
Very good. But the Avengers, I think you're thinking of, that Wilson Duke is in, Winston Duke is in, is Avengers Endgame.
Endgame.
Yes.
Final crisis. Avengers, look at all the green screen.
Yes, Avengers green screen.
Yes.
He's in that one.
Yeah. I did not know she was a dancer.
Yeah, not on a professional level, but yeah, she was a dancer.
Okay.
Started in dance. And Elizabeth Moss, one of my favorite actors.
Very, very good.
Very talented.
Yeah, excellent.
Very talented. Did you see The Invisible Man?
I didn't. Was that good?
Oh, it's very
interesting.
Very
now,
good.
was that part of the
they tried to make
that they were trying to make?
But thankfully there's no connective tissue to anything.
Okay.
But it's a very good movie. Very good.
Okay.
I like Elizabeth Moss a great deal.
Yeah. She's fantastic.
All right. That has been 6 Degrees of Derville Martin, folks. Before we move into our film review, because we're running a little, despite your tangents, we are running a little early, which is good. I have if you will indulge me.
Sure.
A bit of a recommendation for you.
Okay.
If you are in the Philadelphia area and you want to get this memories of square dancing out of your head, then
do. Turn around.
Don't. What you should, you're not even in the Philadelphia area. You know what you should do? You should treat yourself to some oxtails and grits. I had oxtails and grits this weekend.
Okay.
First of all, we were supposed to, me and my partner, we were supposed to go to this brunch where they were actually going to serve oxtails and grits, but we didn't make it.
Okay.
Right. So decided to just make it at home. And she makes oxtails. She and makes delicious oxtails.
Raw some oxtails.
Oh, these oxtail, man, like the bone didn't stand a chance.
Nice.
The meat was just pouring off the bone. Never made grits before in her life.
Oh my goodness. Jumped into some grits.
Vince, when I tell you, if she only makes grits for the rest of her life,
very nice.
I ain't going nowhere. These grits were so good.
Not easy to make.
No, they were so because you can either make them too lumpy or too watery.
Yeah, too runny. Yeah.
These were perfect.
Very nice.
And then with the runoff from the oxtails, and then Vincent, it was, dude, I never get a second plate. I got a second plate and mad that I couldn't get a third plate.
Very nice.
It was so good.
Very
so
nice.
Treat yourself. If you have not, I had never heard of oxtails and grits.
Right. Usually you get them with rice or, Yeah, so,
But dude, oxtails and grits is the thing.
All
so
right.
I am telling you, missionaries, I want you out there within the sound of my voice. Get yourself some oxtails and grits and report back. And let me know that this needs to take over the land.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
It does. All right?
All right.
You're an oxtail guy.
I love oxtails.
You're a grit guy.
I love grits. I've never put them together.
You've got to make it happen.
Okay.
Vincent. You've got to make it happen this weekend.
Challenge accepted.
You're not doing anything this weekend?
Not.
See? There you go. Oxtails and grits.
Oxtails and grits. All right.
And to you too, missionaries. You too, Dylan. Stop with them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and get yourself a real meal. All right.
Hostile.
Well.
Aggressive.
I'm looking out for him.
Okay. Tough love.
Oh, he needs it. And cut your hair. All right. It is now time for us to move into our review of Rize. He's not going to signal you. You can just go.
He literally just signaled me. See you over there, and me and Dylan are doing something. Like as you were saying, what he's not going to do, he was actually doing it.
Because he knew that he didn't have to, and that you were waiting for him to say, "You really, let me just give him a cue, because he needs a cue." But you didn't really need a cue. That's what you were doing, right, Dylan? No, don't just like you're just going to start while I'm talking. No, that's what you were doing, right, Dylan? Yes, and y'all can hear it. I'm not cutting this out of the podcast either.
Yeah, you don't sound like a crazy person right now at all.
As I'm talking to air.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all know there ain't no Dylan.
There was a Dylan, but he died 80 years ago in a fire on this night.
In a tragic square dance accident.
Because a marijuana cigarette had fallen while they were doing a Lindy Hop, listening to jazz.
Listening to Nina Simone records.
Right. In 2005, celebrated fashion photographer David LaChapelle made his documentary filmmaking debut with a visually arresting film shot on the streets of Los Angeles's gritty South Central neighborhood. After this community is nearly destroyed in the days of violent riots after the 1992 Rodney King verdict, dancer Tommy the Clown Johnson creates a kinetic, athletic form of hip-hop competitive dancing that he dubs clowning, which later breaks through to the mainstream as crumping. 2005's Rize was the choice of Lynn Webb. As we begin our journey, Doc to School. Lynn, what would you like to say about Rize?
I think I mentioned it last week that this is one of those films that I've always seen the advertisement for over the years, but just for whatever one reason or another, never pulled the trigger. And I think it's because somewhere along the way, I realized that it was a documentary, which meant that so this is something I gotta really watch, pay attention to, and then it would become like I can't watch it and pay attention, because I'm working or whatever. But I've heard huge things about this documentary. Like this documentary has been, like lauded over the years for this look into this culture in South Central LA, which I think is very interesting because if the first time you hear about South Central LA, for a lot of people, the images that may come to mind are either rapping or gangs, violence, or riots.
Right.
And not surprisingly, this documentary, which is about dancing, the first images are of the riots.
Right. But the Watts riots.
From the 60s, and then it moves forward to the LA riots in 1992 in the wake of the Rodney King verdict. And, the violence that ensues from there and what that violence, that cycle of violence does to the residents of this area. Right. And then it moves immediately into the story of Tommy the Clown, a former drug dealer turned birthday hip hop clown who just rebuilds his life upon just being a positive influence for good, to sound corny, right? But blending in the world of hip hop, blending in the movements of dance of clowns, because clowns are kind of be all over the place with their hands and jumping around. But he's not doing that. He's doing the dancing, and it develops into its own kinetic form of dancing that called clowning. That people, the kids who at one time who are just sitting there as he entertains at the birthday party, as they grow up or become inspired by him, follow in his wake, and they become a movement unto themselves, right? And that movement, as those children continue growing and developing, morphs into crumping, because what they were doing for fun and for sport and for positivity, they realized that this was something that fed their soul a little bit more, and fed to the energy that they were feeling inside of themselves in the midst of South Central LA. Because while they're dancing, while they're performing, the gang life is still out there.
Right.
Is still present. The violence is still out there,
right.
present. It is right on the other side of the gate, from where they dance. They are right there in the midst. And the dance becomes the escape for them, because just like a lot of people, you hear them talk about how the drug game becomes their life, especially when you're talking about in that culture with the Crips and the Bloods. The dancing, whether it be clowning, whether or not it be crumping, it becomes their life, right? And that really spoke to me, because as a bit of an artist myself, I know how much my artwork, my drawing, my writing feeds who I am.
Right.
And it is very much a part of me. And sometimes when I feel like I need to get away from stuff, I can always pick up my pen and just go to paper and draw. I can write out things. And dancing is that for people. All the dancers that I've encountered in my travels, dancing becomes their life.
Sure, absolutely.
Which is why I wanted Ariel here, because dancing is her life. She was the comic book store owner, but she never stopped dancing. She was a dancer first, will still a dancer, will die a dancer.
Right.
I know people that whether or not they dance in burlesque, they dance on a stage, they do hip hop dancing, they do ballet dancing, they do jazz dancing, they do tap dancing. Dance is their life. Because that is their movement. That is what gets their blood going, right? And watching this documentary, which I said when we came in, is my favorite type of documentary. I love a documentary that just turns the cameras on and then just gets out of the way.
Right.
And lets life happen.
Sure.
And lets these people tell their story. Doesn't have to have talking heads in there to psychoanalyze, what is crumping. You don't get, you get a bit of a definition of what is crumping, but that's from the dancers. It's, and it's not a tutorial at all.
Right.
There's no breakdown of it. And because it's so much more than just the dancing. It is a part of them. And the way that this David LaChapelle, which speaks to him being a photographer, being someone who was familiar with capturing life and putting it into the circle of his lens, and extrapolating the world there, the way that he connects the dots of the violence in South Central to the release that dance offers to these performers, to it being just a continuation of the spirit that has been with us since Africa, with archival footage to prove it.
Right.
And how I've always, I was once writing for a music magazine, and I was always asking, especially like Black artists, did they think that there was such a thing as, like, you always talk about, you hear people talk about generational trauma.
Yes.
And I wonder whether or not there was anything like a generational, or universal beat or
Right.
music
Right.
that just gets passed on,
Right.
subliminally in some way from all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, this documentary actually gives image to that,
Right.
which makes the dancing that occurs on screen just that much more alive, that much more vital. And then when you hear these performers, whether it be Tommy the Clown, who has returned to prominence because he's just appeared in Kendrick Lamar's music video, They're Not Like Us, which speaks to, how much of a cultural figure.
He's an icon.
He's an icon. He's an icon of LA.
Yeah.
Like, because everybody, when he shows up in They're Not Like Us, everybody, he got Tommy.
He got Tommy. Right.
It's a rat. But Tommy the Clown to the dancers from Lil C, Miss Prissy, Tiny Eyes, all of these dancers, Larry C.
Larry.
Yeah, Larry.
Don't forget Larry.
Gotta remember Larry. It's just, and how much that informs their life. It becomes the escape from the violence that is right around the corner, that unfortunately does strike in this movie. One lost soul, unfortunately, but to see how much of informs in their life, and it really is just a beautiful story, because because like I said, David LaChapelle gets out of the way. It is just so honest and pure, right? And these are performers in this, at the time of the documentary, they're in, like, most of them are in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
But to hear them, because of the world they live in, feeling to a degree defeated, because they know where they know they're living in this, like, they go outside and they wear the wrong colors, they dance the wrong way, make one false move on a corner, and that could be it.
Sure.
But they also recognize that this can be an escape for them. It's an escape for them to release the fury that is within them, and everybody is understanding, because crumping is a dance that can come off as kind of like almost a violent, force of arms and legs moving and jumping around and throwing your body against one another. But what it actually is, it's solidarity. As singular as the dancers are, when they are dancing, they are in solidarity with one another, which is why there's always the cipher of dancers around them. That's why when they bounce off one another, they push off against one another, but that's just to receive more energy, and then there is a cathartic release of energy where you see where everything is spent, and because everybody knows exactly what they're dealing with. They know from the story that is being told right there on the screen. It was like just a moving event watching this documentary. And then it also, and you see the connective tissues with early Africa, but you then show a bit of connective tissues with the church.
Yeah. Yep.
The church as
That's
well. Right. But not in any type of, like, not turning a blind eye to it. There is connection there. There is solidarity there. There is at least a oneness of spirit of what we want. Not saying that one is greater than the other, because these are not church going kids, not all of them. Right. Because some of them are, and that is beautiful, and they're not turned away for that. It is such a beautiful thing. And smartly as the crumping and the clowning becomes almost here to a gang of itself with their different sets. You know, they get into a battle royal that Tommy the Clown puts together at the Great Western Forum. This is a big thing.
It was a big.
I don't know if you know this. This is where the Lakers play basketball.
Yeah, I know it's a stadium, and it was huge.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it was full. It was full.
Yeah.
For this battle royal that is a fantastic event.
Yeah.
It is a absolute fantastic event of unity, of dancing, of energy, of righteousness, of music, of the neighborhood, a city coming together in celebration. Does it end on a slightly down note? Yes, but that's just, again, the reality of where they are, just peeping its ugly head as it is wont to do. But it doesn't stop the show. It doesn't stop the show. We get up and we rise again. But with these different sets, there was one moment that they show where there is a set of the crumpers, and there's there's this street crumpers and that street crumpers and the business crumpers and the religious crumpers and all this stuff. And then there's a group of Asian crumpers, and they show them in the beginning when they're doing all this list off, and they don't come back again till just before the film ends.
Right.
And they speak of we crump too. You think we can't dance like black people, and then you see them crumping, and then you see this one lone white guy, who is a member of some set, I don't know, and he's getting into it, and people are talking about people think I can't do it, but then they see me and I get on there, whatever, and then that's it. You never see them again in the film, and they don't show up until damn near the end of the film.
Right.
I appreciate that they at least showed them, but I'm glad that they weren't a big part of it.
Sure.
Because as much as they can crump, they can't dance like black people.
Right.
Because they would not have the same connection to the church. They would not have the same connection to the generations from which this was born.
Right.
They would not have connection to what is really going on in the streets that is feeding this energy, this dance culture.
Right.
And thus they are doing what they have always done and continue to do, which is just parrot what they see.
Right.
And I'm glad there was not, I actually would have preferred that if they weren't even mentioned.
Sure.
But they're there, they're not given much shine. So that was the one thing that I bumped up against. But all in all, I actually, in watching this documentary, was just, I just was sitting there just amazed at this lovingness. And like I said, Ariel was going to be on here. She was a huge fan of this film. And as much as I've loved it, loved this documentary from afar, every dancer in my life that I've talked to or has found out that we're going to be reviewing it, they've all man, that documentary is all that. That it's some who maybe were young when that's what got me into dancing. Some was that's kind of re-energized me for dancing, and you still see some of that crumping dancing turn up in dancing that you see.
Absolutely.
Now on stages everywhere. Because a few of the dancers have gone on to become choreographers, so like I said, Tommy the Clown is still doing his thing. So this was absolutely, and we run the risk of doing documentaries. Most of the documentaries we're going to do are going to be good documentaries. So it's really just how much they're going to speak to us, right?
Absolutely.
Knowing that, I ran the risk of looking at the documentary and say, oh, this is a really good documentary, and just keep it moving. This was absolutely a moving experience for me watching this film, and I enjoyed it so much so. Which is why I'm not going into super details about what goes on in it. And you're welcome to if you like, but I would just as soon as people, if you haven't seen this, go see Rize. If you have seen it, see it again, because it is just an amazing documentary.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think, knowing David LaChapelle's background, it's beautiful.
Oh my God.
I think he really captures both the energy, but also the beauty of the form of these, which, you have to say, it seems like it would be difficult to capture the beauty of it, because I think it's easy to kind of be dismissive of it because it is very kind of, it appears herky-jerky and it's aggressive.
It's out there.
And it's out there. But he does a great job capturing it. And I love the fact that you have this document. And much like you, my favorite documentaries are the ones where the documentarian kind of gets out the way. Because a lot of times you watch these and they're almost, it's like they're almost fussy. Like you said, you get, talking head after talking head after talking head after talking head, where oftentimes a documentary seems to be more about the thing.
Right.
Than it shows you the thing.
Exactly.
And this, you certainly don't have that. I think where David LaChapelle's kind of, you can tell he's new at this. There were moments that I wanted him to follow up on more, though.
Yes,
where
that's
you
true.
just kind of follow.
He could have been a little bit more investigative.
As you mentioned, Time of the Clown is acknowledged as the person who started this. But about midway through, you see that there has been a transition, that now you don't even want to say a new generation, because I got the sense that all of the dancers who crumped worked with Tommy the Clown at some point.
Certainly a few of them.
And had just sort of broken off.
Yes.
But the documentary never really explores what happened.
Yeah.
That you go from this to the other. And quite honestly, and I don't know how much of it is for show, how much of it is real, you get the sense that there's some
tension.
Energy, but I won't even use tension, but certainly there's some energy between the two camps that isn't explored. As you said, it kind of ends on a downer.
The Battle Royal, the dance contest.
Well, I'm talking about the documentary itself. Kind of ends on a downer, where it's not an M. Night Shyamalan film. Tommy loses his house, which kind of spoke to something I was thinking about the whole documentary. Like, what are the economics of this thing? Like, you do this, where does it, what are the economics? You mentioned the connection to the church and to these different other African dance practices, which there's this wonderful sequence where the film
juxtapositions
and then cuts back and forth between, as you said, this wonderful footage. And that part was so well done. The problem was, now he has set me up so that when he brings church into it,
you want to see something.
I wanted that level of depth.
That's fair.
With the connection to the church.
That's fair.
And it's not there. And then what I kept waiting for, because to me, the best part about the sequence where he parallels it with the African dance practices is that it's not just the dance. It's the makeup and the face,
the whole thing.
So that when we get to the portion with the church, I kept waiting for gospel mime to be part of it, because now you can.
Oh, okay.
You can parallel it with the face makeup.
Okay, but they did show the praise dancing.
They showed praise dancing, but
I hear you.
But again, you've set me up that it's not just the dance; it's the ritualized face paint as well.
That's fair.
There's one moment where one of the dancers responds to a critique that is not in the documentary, but it's clearly a critique somebody has made that, you know, some of the dancing is too suggestive and some people don't like it when children and young girls are doing it.
Yeah.
But I thought they could have unpacked that a bit.
Well, you know what?
Because I do think this is something that you could dig into, and I'm not just going to keep listing these types of things,
right? But just on that point, that point, because I remember that because I actually liked the way he handled it in that moment, because you know it's one of the dancers talking about how people say, like, you know, the girls and young girls are shaking their things, whatever, and what is on the screen is a young girl. Dancing. And what he says simply and plainly, she's out there being free, dancing on her own, moving her body as she wants. And I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Right. And I like that he put it in those simple terms. The suggestiveness of it is all in your mind.
Right. But this is an opportunity to bring in this community. Like, I think one of the wonderful aspects of this film was how it kind of situates this within this community. Like it's, as you know, at one point, one of the young clowns says that clowning is not just dancing. You have to perform for children. So part of this definition is performing for children, which, you know, just to circle around, like, I wanted to see how the Crumping maybe differed with their relationship to the community. And I thought, again, if you've set up that community is part of the definition, let's hear from some older people. Let's hear from these people again. Now you're maybe integrating it into the church and this. So I think a more seasoned documentarian would have followed some of these threads. I do too, and I see where he could have been a bit more investigative, in developing the story without it becoming this fussy thing like we're talking about.
I see where he could have done that, but I think, and you're right, one, he's new to documentaries at this point, so he's used to, you know, seeing life and letting life happen in the lens. So I think he is falling back a little bit on that. But I do think that to a degree, some of the questions that some of what you're looking for is addressed by the dancers. They speak to it, you know. That was for the kids, like the clowning was for the kids, but we've moved on because this is more for us, which why they become more of a community to themselves, of in and of themselves, being there for one another, you know? So I think that kind of speaks to where it lands as far as being outwardly to the communally outward. Maybe they turned it a little bit more insular for them.
So how does Tommy respond to that?
Well, no, I do think the connective tissue about Tommy with that maybe a question or two could have pulled that. But an argument can also be made that you see a little bit, at least enough about how, let me rephrase that, a window into how Tommy is receiving that when you have the scene with him and Larry and they're mocking the Crumpers.
Right. But see that, like for that to be all you get from him about crumping.
Right. That's where maybe a little bit more.
Right.
Okay. But
and like you, I'm glad that they didn't center the Asian group of clowns or that one lone white crumper at all. But I do, again, if you set it up that South Central has this history of unrest, and so much of the unrest, and to be clear, I don't know if the Asian Crumpers were Korean.
Right. Right.
But certainly when you think about South Central, you think about unrest, you think about the tension between Black people and the Korean American community.
Yes.
I was so curious about, because it wasn't one Korean Crumper.
No.
It was a group of them.
It was a nice size.
And, you know, for you to drop this amazingly evocative image, it's like, how the hell this young group of Koreans in South Central are crumping? Like, where did this come from?
That's their story.
That's their story. But again, what do you kind of do with, you know, like, I mean, look, the thing's only an hour and 24 minutes. Like, certainly you got time that you can talk a little more, which, and this, you know, I'm thinking about something like Paris is Burning. And one of the things that I liked about Paris is Burning is that was a multi-year project.
Yes.
So that towards the end, you could see how it had started to go mainstream a little bit, how it is. And I do think for a documentary that was made in 2005, and if you've seen Dance at all, so much has been taken from this.
Yeah.
And one of the many things that this documentary does well is that it connects the experiences that these young people, primarily young people, have had, and how they use this dance. So many of the dancers who now have integrated it into their dance don't come from that. Is, you know, it's true. You know, it's yet another iteration of the old saying, you know, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
That's right.
I would have loved to see that. And you know, again, that's unfair because, you know, I don't know how long it took him to make this. I don't know. And again, something like Paris is Burning, she was able to have this multi-year connection. But it was striking to me seeing this, and, you know, you turn on, you know, TikTok or whatever, and it's a whole lot of people not from South Central doing this. And there was that as well. But all that aside, you know, frankly, I said all of that because you said all of the wonderful things that I wanted to say, but much like you, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that this document exists, which, you know, frankly, to sort of go back to what I just said about they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. If you don't document it, people will say that we didn't invent it.
Well, yes.
And then, you know, I don't know, just off the top of my head, you'll have a breakdance team that goes to the Olympics, and I don't know how many Black people were on the breakdance team. So, but yeah, great documentary. Great documentary. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, most certainly.
Really enjoyed it.
And I think it goes without saying, Missionaries.
Would you recommend?
We would highly recommend that you see Rize.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. What are you waiting for? Well, wait till the end of the show.
Then do a stanky leg and go right over and watch it.
You never did a stanky leg?
Why would I have done a stanky leg?
It's stanky leg. It's stanky leg.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Throw your knee out or something. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Talk to you tomorrow and you'll be stiff and so go right ahead.
There are people who are looking at me right now. It's like, he's so stiff. Anyway, before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week on Doc to School, I see somebody text me, how about Doctember? Doc to School. It's already on the flyer. I invite you to, that's all you need. Once it's on the flyer, it's a done deal. I invite you to share your thoughts with us via email at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media of your choice, whether it be X, Instagram, or Facebook at Micheaux Mission. I invite you to please subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on the podcast catcher of your choice. If you got an iPhone, that will be Apple Podcasts. If you got an Android, that might be Spotify. That might be, I don't think Stitcher Radio is still a thing. It could be iHeartRadio. It could be Pandora. Wherever you find podcasts, Micheaux Mission is there, including YouTube, where you can subscribe and hit the bell and be notified of when we put up new videos and be notified of when we go live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. streaming live here from YUNKJunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. They have tons of studio, tons of space here. If you want to book your podcast here at YUNKJunk, then you can contact the ghost named Dylan at Dylan@yunkjunk.com. That's DYLAN at yunkjunk.com. Somebody will get back to you. Maybe it'll be Dylan.
You know how annoyed I would be if we found out Dylan was a ghost?
You would be.
Like, this is
She said you would be. You
ghost.
You would be.
Oh. Because we couldn't come here anymore. We had to do this in the car or something.
You remind me of when, if any of you have ever come to the Be Real Micheaux screening series, how we choose our films, that we show 2 trailers to the audience, and then they choose the film that we're going to watch. We saw The Last Dragon in August, and we showed Attack the Block as a trailer.
Yes.
And then we showed, what was the other film?
I don't know what that devil thing was y'all had put up there.
It was some,
I wanted to burn sage or something. I was like, what is this?
it was some movie from Shudder. It was a Shudder horror film.
Ridiculous.
I think it was The Boy Behind the Door.
Sure.
Boy Behind the Door. And everybody watched the trailer, and we said, okay, who wants to see Boy Behind the Door? People started clapping. Who wants to see Attack the Block? The entire theater went crazy. And Vincent immediately said, oh, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Because y'all want to be here without me.
Right.
Because I was not
watching this. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Oh, man. But August is coming. The Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work.
I think you meant October is coming.
What did I say?
You said August is coming. Just confused everybody.
I sure did. Maybe I'm a ghost.
I'd be so angry at you if you were a ghost.
Think how my partner would feel. Never mind. Where was I? Okay, next week here on the Micheaux Mission, we will be watching that documentary that Vince has selected from 2018.
Yes.
It is a documentary that I actually was not aware of, but it is about a story for the ages.
Yes.
From the past. It is about a man who we call, and the world knows as, Mr. Soul.
Mr. Soul.
Next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.